Today's Ramon to bring national headquarters of Parable. Sorry. That's the principal.
They're not looking at the back of my head.
Hello, everyone, and welcome home to Rotary. What an amazing, amazing group today. I'm so glad to see everybody here and see a full house. Friends, Rotarians, guests, dignitaries, everybody. It's wonderful. It's great. So, as always, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test. We'll have a virtue reading by Natalie, and then Emily is doing our blessing. Thank you so much, Emily. It's been one of those days, in case you couldn't tell. We're gonna do some club announcements, fellowship with Dr. Murray Hansen, dad joke, and then our distinguished George Wickstrom is our speaker for today. So let's go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic under liberty and law and sorry.
Today's virtue is cooperation. Cooperation is working together for the good of all. It is the willingness to stand side by side and use the different gifts each of us has to offer. We seek common goals in service of a unified vision. We blend our abilities to create something none of us could achieve alone. Conflict and contention drain us. Cooperation can fuel our dreams. With cooperation, we help one another to share the load. We willingly do tasks that others ask of us. We look for ways to be helpful and ask for help when we need it. We do not isolate or harbor our loneliness. Together, we accomplish greater things. A quote from Dwight David Eisenhower. Though force can protect in emergency, only justice, fairness, consideration, and cooperation can finally lead men to the dawn of eternal peace. The practice of cooperation. I invite partnership. I trust the power of unity. I offer my help and ideas freely. I have the humility not to do it all myself. I know I don't have to be alone. I work with enthusiasm for a common goal. I am thankful for the gift of cooperation. It brings me into community.
On today's blessing goes forth today and tomorrow. May the dawn awaken you. May the sunrise stir you up. May the morning bless your work. May the noon renew your strength. May the sunset bring you home. May the dusk soothe your soul. May the night bring you rest.
Thank you so much, Emily. For that. Thank you. Okay. All right, so club announcements. I've got a couple things to share and hear what someone else has to share. So just a neat thing to highlight, Otago Lake Rotary Club, they went along a local trail and did a pollinator garden. And I thought that was really cool that they had done that. And of course, we've got some advocates of the benefits of pollinator gardens right here in our club too. So it's neat to see how they found that space to be able to do that and make a difference in their own way. And then I'd also like to encourage all of you to consider participating in the Share the Love Rotary Foundation event for February. Again, a reminder on that, if you donate $365 in the month of February, you become a Paul Harris Fellow instead of the normal $1,000. If you do donate $1,000, you get to gift Paul Harris Fellows to 2 individuals. And then the other piece of that, there's another piece to it, and I can't remember what it is. Yes.
You give $100 bill.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yep. So if you give $100, they match it double that for you. So pretty sweet to consider. What other club announcements do we have today?
I have one, I'm looking for, information really. Our club is going to enter some, contest for the district, and one of them is public image, and I know that Jessica has been really good about getting on Facebook. Is anybody doing Twitter
Oh,
or LinkedIn?
I'm huge on Twitter.
Pardon?
Yes.
You are?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Perfect.
You don't follow me?
What? I don't look at any Twitter, I barely look at Facebook, but anyway. So you're doing Twitter, anybody doing LinkedIn? And is anybody doing Instagram? Perfect, I need some. Before we go today, please.
Thank you very much. Brother Greg, I'm on my way.
So today was our last of our 8 Strive sessions, and we had a good crowd and many young people turning in applications for scholarships at Rotary Awards. And we'll be adjudicating those scholarship applications next Thursday, 1 week from tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I have a group of people who are already willing to do that. If you haven't already told me your willingness to do that, and you're able to do that, if you'd speak to me after the meeting, I really would appreciate it. Thank you. You can, oh, I'm sorry, you've got to.
Hello, everybody. Hey, guess I'm holding up my need sheet. So, in March, I do need help with fellowship and sergeant at arms. So if anyone's interested in that, please contact me and I'd be glad to plug you in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Yeah, on the summer. You're welcome.
Okay, I don't know if many of you know this, but we have a program called Rotary Readers, which was kind of shut down because of COVID. So I am trying to revive it, and I was gonna pass around this notebook today, if I could get your email and contact information, if anybody's interested in getting more information or signing up for that. So, and if you don't know what Rotary Readers is, it's just a program where we volunteer to go into an elementary school, based on what the teacher's needs are. Could be once a week, could be once a month, and help out in the classroom with the students. I'll pass this around now.
Thank you so much. I love that program.
I'm sorry, I failed to share something else while I was up here. So, at the conclusion of the Strive year, we have a banquet to award the scholarships and celebrate the accomplishments of the students. And that event is going to be taking place on Sunday evening, March the 5th, at 5 o'clock here at the inn. And we would love to have Rotarians present to observe, to hobnob with the students and their parents. It's just a great opportunity for us to not only celebrate the accomplishments of the young people, to recognize those who have instructed them, but also to be for Rotary to be known among their parents and students. Hopefully, many of those students will be grateful for the experience that they've had in Rotary and will become Rotarians down the road. So be thinking about that, and we'll give you an opportunity to RSVP for that in upcoming week bulletins. Okay.
Thank you so much. Any other club announcements? All right. So in that case, I'm gonna turn it over to Murray for yes and fellowship.
Thank you, President Kurt. We're going to start with our introductions. First, guest of Dick Houston is.
You're right at your table.
I know. Nicole, stand up. Yes, and he's going to introduce our students of the month.
Hello, everybody. Joel Olson, I'm the principal of the high school in Fairville here. Before I do that, a couple of things. We're on our second week of concerts. So Monday was a choir concert. Monday before was a band concert. Next Monday is a orchestra concert. So if you got nothing to do on Monday night, 7 o'clock, will be the final 3 concerts. And then we're in the midst of registration for next year already. So that's a lot of work with staff and kids doing that. So preparing for that. And then we look forward to the spring, we have the theater department's going to put on Oklahoma. And so if you get a chance to come and see that, we got a lot of talented kids, so love to see you there. Without further ado though, I'm first going to introduce Avi. Avi is one of our faces. We have two faces at the high school. One that works with our Somali families and students, and one that works with our Hispanic families and students. And so Avi's gonna, I'm gonna introduce him so he can kind of tell you a little about his job, then I'm gonna introduce our students.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you guys. My name is Avi, and I work at Fairfield High School as a family and community engagement specialist. I work with our families and also our students, making sure I advocate for them, and helping them belong in our school. I help our Somali families feel like they belong in our school and also in our community. We've done a lot of great events and had a lot of families come into our school, opening it up for the public and our families. We've had families come in and cook for teachers, we've had them walk the hallways, interact with kids, not just the Somali kids, but all kids in general. So everybody can see new faces and experience different cultures. And today we have two students with us here. One is one of our senior students, which is a great leader, Mohammed Hassan, and we have a junior that is very bright, and she will be taking all college courses this year. So we're excited. And I would like them to introduce themselves again and also tell them about their experience as Fairfield High School students. Go for it. You got this. You got this.
Hi,
Oh.
my name is Mohammed Hassan. I'm senior at Fairfield High School. Oh, after I'm done high school, I'm gonna do college.
Hi everyone, my name is Lou. I'm involved in DECA. I competed for business management and I fought for the state. And then I'm in a lot of things in school. I do a lot of community work. I like helping others and yeah.
Say hi to Avi.
Hi, Mohammed.
I'm
Suher.
Hi, Stuart. Horse, Joel. We're gonna move up to the front table. We got a few more guests. George. Can you introduce your guests?
Yes, I can. I have two guests. One is Sarah Holstead. She is our county administrator and she is doing a good job. She comes from Benson, Minnesota, or I know Olivia. And she also, in Benson, I have a couple of relatives there, so we know a little bit about them from that. So let's congratulate both of them at the same time. So Sarah is my guest. The next guest is Tim Penny. Tim Penny is well known on that area. He's been living a pretty much a life of service. He represented us in Mall as a representative, and 12 years as a representative in Washington. And for the last 15 years or so, he's been the chief executive officer and president of the Southern Minnesota Commissioners Association. So thank you and welcome to Jim and Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Great. There you go. Did I give you the money?
I'll be back. We have a guest here at our table too. Yes.
I met Ann Richards when she came in today. She's from the Northville Club. If you greet her as well, welcome Ann.
Joining us again this week is the next executive director, Dave Nichols. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave. I have one more written down here, our mayor, but I keep looking around the room. Let's see it. Did he sign the dash?
He's not here. He's in the treasury.
Oh, you signed him up.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so today I told President Alverson the fellowship's in honor of him. So what I've done, give a whole list of his dad jokes.
So each table will get a tap.
Start up front over here. So as this group heard about those new corduroy pillows. They're making headlines. You don't like them, it's Kurt's day. Oh, and, you just have to make a comment, you've all seen in the paper about the crime statistics in, Rice County, and it seems that theft is mostly downtown and not at a Faribault Mall. And our police force is doing an excellent job at, protecting all this, but, one thing I didn't see on there is that all the police in Rice County is centered right up here. Onto this table. If a pig loses its voice, does it become disgruntled? You have a check?
Yeah, that's good. Just want to say welcome to the high school students. I had a chance to attend the concert on Monday night. My daughter's a junior, and so every concert throughout the year has gotten better and better and better. And Martha was there playing the piano. She's not here today, but she was playing the piano. She brought in her own like electric piano. So all of a sudden the choir has like their director playing the piano, and then like these drums and all this stuff happened, and it was really, really cool. And so get a chance to go to the last concert coming up next week. You should go. It's a great time. I know that the school is doing Oklahoma. That's super exciting because there's a ton of talent at high school. So good job, Faribault High School.
Okay, so how many of you read the bulletin this week? So, it said in there, your little facts, put a Will Rogers quote, under Dr. Houston here. Personally, I've always felt that the best doctor in the world is a veterinarian. You can't ask the patient what's the matter, you just got to know.
I have no argument.
That knowledge doesn't transfer over into ties, does it?
You know, that's kind of interesting, because I just talked to Dr. Speckle that one day last week, somebody came up to me and said, "How long does it take to be a veterinarian?" And I told them, and they said, "Gosh, you could have been a real doctor." So in an attempt to do that, I had 3 days of continuing education last week. And I thought that qualified me to wear the Einstein tie that Dan Hedge gave me when he visited our club not long ago. And so things have really changed. When I first session I went into, there were about 75 people in there. And there were 3 guys. The rest were all women. Very, very different than when I graduated. And I would say that maybe 6 or 8 of us were over 50. So it's a very different crowd to go to school with. But the thing that really impressed me, that the University of Minnesota College of Veterinary Medicine is 3rd in the country. And so that led me to believe that Minnesota is far more interested in producing healthy and safe food for our country than maybe the other colleges like Iowa. Yeah, all the veterinary colleges that don't come close to range. So they're more interested in trying to find 5 guys that half the time to put a wall through a hoop. Anyway, just want to let you know that I've been talking to Sam. Sam is taking, a group of 5 teachers to Cambodia. The part of the connection that he made when we did the international project over there. They're leaving April 1st, if anybody's interested in going along, contact Sam. I've got his contact information if you need us. He also just received a really prestigious award within the state of a presentation that he did on, and I don't remember the name of the organization, but he went international competition with that because of that award. Pretty good. Yeah,
Sure. Hi, I was just down in Atlanta, Georgia, and visited to visit my parents. And visited the Rotary Club there. There's 2 Rotary clubs in the area. My dad was for a very long time, and his friends are still in it. And they do have a lot of new young members, and I will be bringing the flag next week. So yeah, and they really like our flag. So also, I want to say happy birthday to George.
Happy birthday. We'll get back to that. Okay, so, I'm gonna hear a joke about paper. Sure. Never mind, it's
All right, so I have 2 things. One is I did look up, Sam received the award for, the best presentation award at the Minnesota English Learner Education Conference for his refugee simulation after the COVID. This seminar uses the power of simulation to provide a hands-on experience of what refugees have to endure in order to survive and start a new life in Minnesota. Participants analyze true stories of Cambodian Rohingya survivors and families in Boston.
Thank you. Yes.
I actually have a story about you, and I shared this with you a few years ago. But when I was in high school, I was a part of Youth for Government, which was one of the most powerful and meaningful experiences of my life. I still have friends to this day, and that's where my 401 group is as a result of that group. And so, as a part of going to national affairs, we got to go to Washington, D.C. And you happened to be a representative at the time. And so we were able to go to your office and you gave us a presentation. And I just remember being so excited about being there. And I just remember being so touched by how kindly you talked to us, how respectful you were, how you recognized how excited we were to be there, and the excitement that we had for civic engagement. And you really acknowledge that, and I just so appreciated it, because a lot of times I think high schoolers are just kind of, yeah, that's great, but they don't really know about the world, and I feel like you gave us such respect and such kindness, and I still remember that to this day, so thank you very much.
Nice.
That mean I gotta put money in the.
What happened on this table over here is.
I have 2 things. Congratulations to you students, and thank you for being here. And it's students like you, and the STRIVE students, came in and were talking, saying it gives us such hope for the future. If I had students like you all, I might still be teaching. Thanks for being here. And then I have a kid that is going to.
Oh,
And charity is called her. Yes. But this isn't about her, though she was a wonderful person. You picked up my son hitchhiking. And I don't know why he was hitchhiking. It was somewhere between Waterville and Faribault. And so thank you very much.
And I wish I had it. I know, but I'm gonna switch gears a bit and share with you, a group of us who are part of the Virtues Project on lunch with George yesterday to celebrate his birthday. And, I had found this quote, and it inspired us to
talked to George about the virtues that we see in him. And the quote is this: everything we say at funerals should be said instead at birthday parties. We leave too much love unspoken. And I can tell you, it changed the whole conversation. We had a wonderful time lifting up George and telling him about his virtues, and I encourage you to do the same with people that you love.
I trust that Amy had an amazing birthday yesterday. This is a chance for the Pasco and Michigan rebuttal. You got nothing?
Too much Andrew Davis. You know, some things just don't even admit it. Just for themselves.
Well, look who can stand.
Two things, I can stand. And within 2 weeks, I will be without crutches for 2 weeks. I think that Ruth's gonna be with me for forever. So this is great news for me. Also, thought you might be interested in knowing that Martha is going to be the director of the orchestra for Oklahoma. So, another reason yet.
Of course, I can't pass up to Joe.
I did my dollar.
How does cereal pay its bills? With checks.
Oh. These are comedy boards.
And there's a long Rotarian at this table. So, this is the one most thing about it. Jones. I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon. I'll let you know. Anyone looking to buy a DeLorean? Good shape, good mileage, only driven from time to time. You have some money there?
I do.
All right.
So next week I won't be here because it's kind of exciting. I don't know if you remember 2 years ago, I became a grandma of twins. So next week we're flying out to New York to celebrate the twins' second birthday.
Nice.
So, it was so cute. They FaceTime with us and they're starting to talk and they're rambunctious and they got on. And I'm sitting there talking to them, interacting with them, and they saw Scott and they went, Papa! No, Grammy. So, there you are for their second birthday.
Nice. Can always zoom in.
Built some bed.
Okay, the table with the running tab. Let's see, your Joe, what happens when frogs are illegal?
They get towed.
Exactly. You got the joke. Okay, now. George, I don't know if a lot of you realize this, but George and I are actually related. Now, follow this. George's son is married to my wife's cousin. That makes you my uncle, cousin, twice removed in law. So is that close enough for me to borrow $50?
It's coming there.
Is it David?
David, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I found that out at your birthday party a few years back and I walk in and she's standing next to him. So we didn't even know at the time. But yeah, we're kind of related, so can I borrow $50?
They will hire you.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Okay, Natalie?
Just gonna share a brief story. Chad Wolf, who's a school board member, emailed me a couple weeks ago and made a virtual introduction with a young woman who recently graduated from Mankato, MSU Mankato, and she's a Faribault High School graduate. And he said, she wants to work in healthcare, you work at Alina, you know, figure it out, basically. It's like, we're happy to meet with her, so her and I met at Caribou, and I looked at her resume, gave her some tips on that, and we looked at jobs that were available within Alina, and we found one that we thought that she could apply for and was qualified for, and she was just awesome young lady. Her name is Tufa Abdullahi. And I reached out to the hiring manager and the HR director and said, this is a quality applicant. You know, I strongly encourage you to at least interview her, because she said she had applied for other jobs and didn't even get a call. So she emailed me today and she said she got the job.
Wonderful.
It wasn't because of me, it was because she's a really bright, qualified young lady. So I look to our students here and I look to all of you and just encourage you to reach out to people in this room, people in the community, use the, I don't know, influence that we have and help those who are trying to make it.
Great story.
So Tim, it's our tradition, fellowship at Georgetown gets the final word before the program. Although you are the program.
There's nothing you time for it.
So then. I'm gonna get up there.
Murray, thank you so much for all the new material. Hey, come back, please. There you go. That was wonderful. I really enjoyed that, especially the corduroy pillow one. It really got me. I'm gonna be laughing about that later. Monday, I had the opportunity, I was telling Tim, Wasika president, that I had the opportunity to present to Wasika high school students the Avid program, and I talked about the importance of investing or whatever. But as you know, one of my hobbies, besides model trains, is also learning terminology that young people use, slang or lingo. So I can later use that to make other young people uncomfortable, and then they will quit using it because they're like, oh, older people are using that. So I heard one of the students make a comment to one of her other co-students. She said something about, you're giving me side eye. And I was like, wait a second, is this a new term I need to know? You know, like I know when you give somebody the look, but she's like, yeah, if somebody says something that's kind of, they didn't mean for you to hear it, but you heard it and it's kind of putting you down or whatever, that's side eye. I was like, I'm gonna use that. And then somebody else was like, do you know what dripping means? And I was like, is that like when you're covered head to toe in fashion? They're like, yeah, you got it. So like, break out, Greg, you're dripping in style. Do that.
First time in my life.
Yeah, use that. And then I told them, I remember when I learned what spill the tea meant, and they just like roared with laughter. They're like, that's hilarious. That's so long ago. So anyways, spill the tea? Spill the tea means to share the gossip. Or share the
Oh.
yeah, so. Okay, so back to business here. Dad joke time. One more dad joke. Okay. So did you hear about the person who invented the knock knock joke? That's great. They were awarded a Nobel Prize. Yeah. Okay, so I'd like to invite George up here. George, thank you so much for presenting with us today.
Oh. I'm gonna skip by because Sandy is a good point. To start off with, we're gonna talk about a lot of things that are concerned. And, I don't want to be negative, but like if there's anything that anybody has that, question what I say, stop me, we can talk about it. I wanna cover a number of different things. And I wanna talk about where we come from, where we are, and also as a world, I wanna talk about the population problems and so forth. So let's get started. The population of the world in 1800, according to the demographic historians, was 1 billion people. Now, we've known of civilization going back 50,000 years or so. Archaeologists. And so we've known about that. It took that many years to get to 1 billion people. So let's talk about the rule of 72. Does anybody know what the rule of 72 is?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, tell me, so what is it?
You can figure out how quickly your money will double by taking the interest rate that you earn on that money and divide it by 72.
Divided into 72.
And that will tell you how many years it takes for that to double.
Right, that's exactly right. So let's apply the rule of 72. How many 72s are there between 1800 and today? Anybody? There's 3, I'll just tell you, there's 3. 72, 144, 216. Okay, let's start off with that $1 billion, 1 billion people, I should say, in 1800. In 1872, at 1%, 1 billion becomes 2 billion. Okay, now 2 billion in 1944 becomes 4 billion. 4 billion in 2016 becomes 8 billion. When did we cross over 8 billion? We told us about 2 months ago that we crossed over 8 billion people. Well, let's ask ourselves a question. Can we grow again, double again, in 2088 to 15, 16 million people? What are the implications for climate change, our economies, lifestyle? That's a question we need to think about that. What happens if we don't grow? What happens if we're hitting a wall? And we apparently are to some degree, but China did not grow more, and we didn't do that either. But in any event, there are problems with the growth in the population of the world, big time. And if we don't have growth, then our economies don't grow. Our economy in the United States has to have growth because they don't have any money to pay our bills. If we don't grow, we'll be increasing taxes. So that's an issue that we want to understand. Okay, enough of that. When I was born in 1930, this country was 4.5% of the world's population. And we haven't changed maybe 1 or 2 tenths of % all the way up to today. What happened at the end of World War II? World War II, the treaty was signed in Japanese President Douglas MacArthur in September 2nd, 1945. Okay, we need to look at what the gross domestic product was at that point in time. The GDP was about $250 billion. A good part of it was raw materials. The debt to GDP was about 112%. Now we go back down. Think about this. Now we're 4.5% of the world's population at the end of the war. But about 85% of the world is our market because Europe was bombed out, the Union was bombed out, the Nazis took Russia out before we did much of the war. We bombed the Dickens out of Japan and dropped a couple of air bombs. Every developed country is bombed out except us. So about 85% of the world is our market. Okay, what happened? Our GDP went in 1974 went up about 7 or 8 times. The debt went up about 3 times. The debt was larger in 1974 than it was in 1945-46. We spent it all. Marshall Plan, under Eisenhower, roads and bridges all over the place. Man on the moon, Medicare, Medicaid, all this stuff. We spent it all. We didn't save any money. Okay, so what happens from 74 For 2000, we gradually bump up to about 60%. That's the GDP. Then we had a lot of problems economically. What were some of them? Well, a big one was the derivatives that came out of the mortgage industry. I talked to at least a dozen people when I was in the financial services, and they didn't know what a balloon was, but that's what they had. They had a 5-year balloon. One family I talked with had $140,000 income in the 1980s. They, I talked with the man's wife, and I did a fact finding from back to her, and they were a year and a half into a 5-year balloon mortgage. She didn't understand that at all. And I went through the budget with them. I said, you're spending way too much money. You can't afford to live at this level at $140,000. You can put a fish in the table for us. If you go to medical school for the last 8 years, it's time for us to start living. They had a deaf student. They wanted to live in town. But they went broke and they had to leave town. They bought a $300,000 house. 10% interest, no money down, you spend all the money. So we had that kind of stuff going on. Now, let me put my thoughts for a second now. So, we have to look at what the debt is that we're assuming and what kinds of things that we're doing that are increasing it. Now, let's talk about some of our entitlements. Social Security was started in 1935. Normal retirement is age 65. If you're 65 in 1935, your life expectancy is about 2 years. They moved that all the way up to age 67. The 67-year-old today has a life expectancy of about 15 years. I would say that the Social Security doesn't have enough money going forward. Now we're about 60% through the baby boom generation. I was born in 1930, the life expectancy was 59.7 and 93. And the oldest 93-year-old guy in this room. No, but the point is, we're living longer, and those benefits have to be paid out, but we don't want to increase the retirement age. Look what's happened in France. They just want to increase the retirement age for Social Security or whatever the plan is by 2 years. People protested. About 25 years ago, Greece was in terrible trouble financially. They wanted to increase the retirement age by 2 years. They rioted. Now, what's the problem? The problem is that government is not keeping us, we're not informed as to what the circumstances are under which we live in. You've got to understand. Let me give you a couple of quotes. Benjamin Franklin said, "A nation of well-informed people who have been taught to know and prize the rights that God has given them and not be enslaved. It is in the region of ignorance that tyranny begins." Samuel Adams, who was not as well known as these others, but he was very important in the background, he had a statement, if I can remember that. No people can be easily will painfully surrender their liberties. It is in the region of, he said, not any will be easily subdued if knowledge is diffused and virtue is preserved. See, these guys knew that you had to be informed, and we're not. A third of our voters in this country don't know the 3 branches of government. 40% of our gross domestic product is on wants. Take a look at a grocery list, and you've got about half the stuff in the grocery store. It's not even good for us. Our wants way too heavily and watching our needs and being responsible for how we spend our time. So let's take a look now at what I call unfunded liabilities. Tim has got a number. Could somebody look at the computer or the cell phone and see what the unfunded liabilities are for the federal government? I should have asked you that right away.
I can look that up for you.
Look it up and see what you find. Tim's got the answer to that, but I couldn't name one thought.
It looks like for 2021, it was 93.1 trillion. That was 2021.
That includes pension plans, everything the federal government has, the debt should be higher than that.
Okay,
This is saying, we estimate that under current law, the US federal government faces a permanent present value fiscal imbalance of 244.8 trillion, or 10.2% of all future GDP.
Okay, so it's way up there. The number that Tim got is what, Tim?
162 trillion.
Okay, so that is even mentioned in our budget. Now, we've got people today that are talking about holding up, increasing the debt ceiling. Our debt to GDP right now is 21 trillion, is about our gross domestic product. The debt right now, until we raise the debt ceiling, is about 31 trillion. Now, that debt ceiling is probably going to go up about $4 or $5 trillion. Now, the conservatives are saying, we're not going to increase that debt ceiling unless we can reduce spending. This to me is amazing, because that indicates to me that they don't understand what's going on in this country. The unfunded liabilities that we have right now, the cost of keeping Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, pension plans are all underwater. We don't have enough money coming into the tax bases to pay for those things. Plus, we've got a big debt that has to pay the interest rates. And guess what happens in interest rates? We've got some friends in Washington that are playing around with interest rates. So from that standpoint, we're in trouble. And what happens when these unfunded liabilities hit the wall? Where is the money going to come from for that? It hasn't hit us yet, but it's going to. How soon? I don't know. How long can you kick the can down the road? I don't know. Sooner or later, those things will come due. Do you have any idea when that might happen? I don't either, but it's going to happen. Okay, let's go to Washington D.C. and talk with a couple of our friends. How about Jerome Powell and what's her name, Janet Yellen? She's the Secretary of the Treasury, and as you all know, he's in charge of the Federal Reserve. These folks are trying to grow the economy at 3% and grow inflation at 2%. That's the goal. Now, guess what? If you use the rule of 72, how many times is 3 going to 72? 24 times, you divide up. So we're going to double our economy in 24 years. How can we do that? Where are the resources going to come from? We're at 4.5% of the world's population today, and we use about 20% of the world's goods and services. We're going to double that? It makes no sense. No sense whatever. Inflation. See, the idea there that I see is 3% growth on the economy, 2%. That means that the economy grows faster than inflation, so they can be paying off their bills with cheaper dollars as things move along. But those growth rates, to me, are totally unsustainable, if that's what they're working for. What happens when that hits the wall? So we've got some problems to deal with. Now, I don't want this all to end up with all bad news. We've got to think about what we can do as people to kind of offset that. And because otherwise this discussion is nothing more than in and awful. We've got to find some things to do. As a group, we're Rotarians. We're involved in service. What are some things that we can do to offset that? The first thing we need to do is we need to understand what the problems are. We need to be informed. And we need to hold our legislators feet to the fire. Now, when we find, these people are not all bad. The political system right now is pretty much run down the opposition so that they make themselves look good. And this violates one of my basic rules. You never depreciate anybody's character or self-respect. It doesn't do any good at all. I don't care what the person's done. You always want to leave any encounter, any engagement with a person on a positive note. We're looking for statesmen in our political system, and they're fewer and fewer are between. We've got some great people who have done that. Tim was outstanding, from everything I've known, as you represented us. He's had a testimony to that. We've got to understand the problem. We have to be informed as to what the problem is.
Well, it's just about 2 more minutes.
What's that?
2 more minutes and then
All right.
leave a few minutes for questions.
Yeah, well, let's go to the questions now, because I've said enough. Go ahead.
I was just gonna give you a quote that I think you'd appreciate. It's from Albert Einstein, and it said, "If I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solutions." And he talks about the importance of asking the right questions in order to come up with the best answer.
See, that brings up somebody once said, knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge in itself is nothing. Knowledge applied is power. We have to use it. We know something, we have to use it. So the first thing that we need to do is become informed. Now, there's so many things out there that we can get informed of. We can't do it all. But pick something that you're interested in, that you're passionate about, learn about it, and be confident in delivering it. See, if you don't have confidence in what you're talking about, that comes through. We have to, when we're talking to people about something we are interested in, they have to know that we believe it. We have to be such that they know that we mean business. And there are 2 virtues that I think help in that. One is assertiveness, and the other is detachment. The assertiveness tells us that we are a person of quality. We want to think of ourselves as good, and we have to, our actions have to support that. The second thing is, Dick and I have known each other a long time. We can't agree on everything, but guess what? We can, here, I'll give you an example of something that happened to me in Red Wing. I had a friend that I did business with for about 15, 18 years. Played golf, dinner, business. I called him the second to last week of October of 2014. Oh, you want to play golf next week? The forecasting 70s. Yeah, can I bring some gas? Sure. I came over, we played golf at the golf country club. And one of the guys said, I paid for the golf, I paid for the couch. Went to ask us for drinking sandwich afterwards. One of the guys says, "Is this climate change playing golf this way from here?" And I said, no, it's not bad. It's any given day, a month, even a year isn't climate change. But we do know this, 80% of the CO2 in the atmosphere is caused by burning fossil fuel. I pointed myself and said, we're doing it. The meter on Buck's face things like from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde square. I couldn't believe it. He just got up, guess what, he just walked out. Back in those days, about half the people thought we were doing it, the other half thought it was just normal. And I asked the question, I called him 3 times after, I haven't seen him since that time. That's 8 years, so I stopped over there. That's how adamant some people can be, but always ask the question. So when we're talking with people about some of these things in the conversation, make a point of view. Ask the question. And I asked, I said, if I had said, I've heard 80% of the atmosphere CO2. I've heard that, we're doing that. What do you guys think? Oh, that's what we did, all those. I think people tell me, all those climate scientists have paid off. I've got people telling me that. See, so you got people out there that might be quite different than you're thinking, but we've got to find ways to make that work, and questions help. And but we have to be informed. And, so that's, any more comments or questions? What I said.
George, thank you so much.
I'll be surprised if you don't smile at me when you come in.
Nobody walked out.
George, thank you so much for sharing all that with us today. We really appreciate it. And remember what George said, knowledge applied is power. And I think that George lives that. He not only shares with us things that are getting us thinking, but he takes steps himself to try to make a positive difference. And that is a great example for all of us. And remember, George's lunch deal, George will take you out to lunch and have a conversation with you about some of these topics more in depth.
Listen, I mean that.
Yeah.
If you wanna get 3, 4, 5, 10 people, I'll buy the lunch, we can talk about this stuff, I mean that, because this is important. We can be a nucleus here in this club, if we start practicing this, we have the ability to do that. We've got the 4-way test, that 4-way test is as good a thing as we can use to work with people and try to improve things. It's powerful, it can enhance any human endeavor, whether it's religion, politics, business, nonprofits, doesn't matter. We've got that ability, and if we don't use it, it's our problem. So we got laws.
Thank you, George. With that being said, I will see you all next week. Go out and be kind. Yeah.